Welcome back, friends. Here in this lecture, we're going to learn about Java arrays. Arrays are a very important component of Java programming. There could be any range of use, be it mathematical use, computational, or simple facilitation of strings or different set of things. Array is simple data type consisting of elements of similar data type in a fixed value of range. So we can create multiple arrays, use it for addition, subtraction, reverse order fetching, anything. You can have different set of numbers, arrange it in descending order, in ascending order. You can have a list of elements. In real life scenarios, we have to deal with a large set of data. In order to deal with such a deep or large number of sets, we need to arrange it and a method mechanism to perform various operations on them. We have character array, integer array, float array, and different set of arrays. So you can use anything. So it is a very important topic and we need to understand it very well. So array is an object which contains elements of similar data types that we know. It is a data structure where we store similar elements. So element need to be similar. In a single array which is being defined as integer, we cannot store a character value. So here we have a same data type. We can store only a fixed set of elements. If we have defined the size initially, we can store only element up to that size. If we have defined the size to be 100, we can define 100 elements, 99 elements, 0 elements, 7 elements, anything between the range. But we could not store 101. And we can also leave it for the size. It may define on its own. Array in Java is index based. We have to fetch data based on different indexes or index number. The index number generally starts with the zero symbol, zero. Normally we do indexing with one, but here we have zero. If we have 10 elements, say, the index number for first element would be zero, and the last element or 10th element will be 9. So remember this thing. So here in the red color, we have defined an array with a array named as a of the type integer consisting of 4 elements 33, 3, 4, and 5 in the sequence. An array is denoted with a square bracket opening and closing, and you have to remain it empty. If you do not want to define the values of array initially, you can just write the size of the array between those brackets. So here is the visualization of one-dimensional array. We can have multi-dimensional array, leave it to the future. Currently, we are going to learn here the one-dimensional array. So here is an array which has 6 elements. It will have 6 different indexes for corresponding to each element, and imagine it as a box. In the memory of the computer, if you have been gone through the hardware or different components, data is stored with a key value pair. Here we have the data which is stored called as value or the array element, and it is stored at a location, memory location called as array indexes. It will be, any element would be fetched based on the index, not on the value. So we need to remember this thing. And there must be a pattern of such things. So it is a continuous, fixed, similar data type storage of elements or values. So it is one dimensional, consisting of 6 elements. If we want to fetch the third element, we can fetch the storage value, reference value, or array index for the third element. We will get the value. So here is a visualization of this thing. We have to define the main, void main, public static void main. Then we need to define the array. Here we have array called A, which is an array of type integer. When we need to write a new array, we need to define it with a new word, keyword. And we have to define its size. So we have defined the size as being 6. Then we need to define the values. We can also define the value in this way. And the first element, 0 is the index value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will store 6 values, and we have assigned different values to the different memory location. We don't need to write it in sequence. We can write it in jumble order as well because they are being stored in different locations. And if we overwrite the same value, the latest value will be, or recent value would get the preference. Say if we define the zeroth value as 10, and then again we write the zeroth value as 11. So the most recent value or the last written would be given preference. So here we have to display it on the screen. So we need to use the loop, for loop. Here we are using uh, starting from the index 0, and we don't need know the size theoretically. So we can also find it with a function called length. It is an array function. We can find the length of the array using a dot length, array name dot length. So it will execute till the array has been completed. And system out println, it will display array element on the screen. We provide ith value, so it will change over time. First it will print the first element, second element, and third element. Then there is a mechanism to pass array to methods in Java. We have learned to define arrays in a method, main method. Here it is, and we can pass the same array and use it in different functions in the program. So what is the method of writing this thing? Just move towards a lower section of the code. Here we have public static void main, and here we have defined an array called a with 4 values, and we have passed this array to the function min, min, or minimum. Here in the function method definition, we have created a different array which is being stored here. The value of a has been transferred to the arr, the same array, and we can perform various operations in that function. So it is simple, not very difficult thing. Just a simple practice, we can use it, and we can use in this way we can use an array defined in the single function in over hundreds or thousands of functions in different programs. So we have learned about a one-dimensional array, and here we need to learn about multi-dimensional arrays and two-dimensional arrays. In one-dimensional array, we have the dimension, the first element is 0, and the last element is n minus 1, and is the number of elements minus 1, the index of last element. And similarly, in two-dimensional array, we have m cross n, number of elements, and similarly, it is a it is in a format of table or matrix in a well-defined manner. Similarly, we may have three-dimensional arrays in the shape of a matrix book, four-dimensional, five-dimensional, and even 20, 50 dimensions, which would be tedious for your processor and hard to imagine or visualize in the human context in the spatial dimensions, but they are reality in the computers. In neural networks, we use different kinds of 3D cubes of the array, the three-dimensional arrays, and here we can use multi-dimensional as well. So here is the format of writing multi-dimensional array. Here we are defining two-dimensional array. So we need to provide 2 times square brackets opening and closing, a pair of opening and closing brackets 2 times, define the array name, and we need to supply the size m cross n. Similarly, if you want to create 3 dimension, you can write 3 times the pair opening and closing and define the size of the third element as well, third dimension as well. Similarly, you can write 5 dimension, 10 dimensions, and more. Here we have a matrix or array, two-dimensional array of size 3 cross 5. So we have 3 rows and 5 columns. The rows being indexed as 0, 1, and 2, columns being indexed as 0, 1, 2, and 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we may have different values corresponding to this, and we can write it as same. Similarly, we have a code for defining multi-dimensional array, and Here it is, the first line. We can define it either in the row-wise or in the long cut manner by defining each element. It would be difficult. So we can use a different curly set of curly braces. A single opening and a closing curly brace pair would correspond to a single row. So we have to define the values in the row-wise manner. So it will start from for. Uh, it will move to the size. Here we have to fetch in the row size, the column size, and we can display it on the screen. Here we take 3 cross 3 matrix or two-dimensional array. So to print it, we need to actually run each loop 3 times. So the inner loop will be executed 9 times and the outer loop will be executed 3 times. For the first row, first column, first row, second column, first row, third column, first row, fourth column, and so on, and will be printed on the screen. Similarly, we can perform various kinds of operations, mathematical operations on various set of arrays, be it two-dimensional, single-dimensional, or more. We can perform all sort of searching, sorting, be it binary search, linear search, bubble sort, or different kind of things on one-dimensional or multi-dimensional arrays. Similarly, we have matrix addition, subtraction, division, and more operations that may seem very complicated, but they are not very complicated to write. So for matrix addition, you need to supply two loops, one outer loop for row and inner loop for column. Similarly, we have a third array where we store the value sum of first and second arrays. For matrix addition, we need to have different arrays, be it two or three arrays, four arrays, five arrays that you want to add. Store it in the third array. The values of third array would need to be 0 initially, and all arrays must have the same dimension. Say if an array has 3 cross 4 dimension, 3 rows, 4 columns, so then all arrays or matrices being added or subtracted have the same dimension. This is not required to be the case for multiplication or division, and we can perform various such of things. Try writing your own programs and practice it the array more. Array is a vital concept and basic building block for all set of programs. If you want to move ahead with your competitive programming or design a system programs or scientific operations or machine learning or such kind of things, you need to grab this concept and implement it very efficiently, which needs a lot of practice. We are going to learn more in the coming lectures. Till then, keep learning and keep moving ahead.